Hi everybody, just going to take another quick tour of the garden. Lots of things changed since the last time we looked. Things have exploded here. I'm going to try and go kind of quickly, so if there's something that you have a question about, just let me know. So these were the first thing to bloom this year. These are the honeyberries. Last year we had a couple. See that one? I don't know if you can see it. It's not going to focus on it. But there's a little, that might be... see that little round, it's not really in focus. Looks like that's actually setting fruit already. They're just finishing up blooming. They've been blooming for about a week, I think. Then we've got in here some of the apples. I don't think this one's gonna bloom this year. The peach trees are, I think they're, see here, that's flowers that have finished blooming already, and there's some that are still budding out. So we'll see if we get fruit set on these. That apple is kind of scraggly. It's actually going to bloom this year. This one, it does indeed seem to be dead. Another peach tree there. The willows are kind of, I'm not sure what's going on. We've got these here. I don't know if they got fried by the sun or what. They got these black leaves, but then they're pushing out new ones, so hopefully some of them take. There's a few other ones that we'll see in a second that are looking nicer. Raspberries are coming in nicely. Don't think we have any flower buds yet, but it's really hard to tell the difference between leaf buds and flower buds. That might be flower, I think those are leaf buds still. Then we've got more, more runners, so we're going to let this kind of populate up. So we're going to end up with a, essentially a food forest with raspberry and willow as the understory and these dwarf fruit trees as the overstory. These perennial walking onions that I never know what to do with, but they're kind of fun. Chives are looking really nice, way more than we can use. We got oregano coming back here. Chocolate mint just starting to wake up. I put in some tomatoes and peppers today. That's one of the nicer looking tomatoes. That's a Jasper cherry tomato. Another apple starting to bloom out. This is a Baldwin. Okay. These beds there are all tomatoes. We'll see what makes it. They got some damage. I put them out a little too early, the seedlings. They got a little bit of cold damage. Then our peppers are real small, but I figure they're going to grow better if they get in the ground as soon as the roots are ready. The weather's favorable, so I put some of them out, and I'll thin them as they get a little taller. If I need to buy more to replace, I will. Then we've got more tomatoes up there. This is a rhubarb that I tried digging up last year and must have missed. And then this is what happens if you miss an entire bulb of garlic and have it sprout on you. Then we put in beans this year, trying something different. Since I've got this trellis here, what I did is I did 2 rows on either side with staggered seeds, like so, of pole beans down the center, and then just the standard provider, bush beans on the outside. So 1 row on the outside of bush beans, and then 1 row on either side of this trellis of pole beans. So we'll see how that does. Never tried it before. We're growing Seychelles, which is a new AAS winter pole bean, and then Fortex, which is a French haricot vert style bean. Soil, even though we've had a couple cold, rainy days, the soil is actually, pretty warm, probably at least 60, 65, maybe even 70 to the touch this morning, and it's just going to get warmer as the week goes on with the sun coming back out. Pretty good germination on the peas, some missing gaps here and there, but considering that it went, we had a foot of snow on top of them, and then it melted, so it was just sopping wet. They're doing pretty good. And then over here, I put some broccoli in. There's some garden nemesis going across the street. They probably are, 8 this broccoli plant there. And that one there. Just noticed that on the camera is missing too. Normally we don't get a lot of rabbit damage, but the population this year does seem to be a bit higher, so we'll see how it goes. We may lose a bunch of stuff. There's just no good way to fence our property. More broccoli. The stuff that looks like kale is purple peacock, which is a kale broccoli cross. And some more broccoli here. Looks like, another one right there got eaten. This bed was planted to parsley, but I am pretty sure none of it germinated. So I will try growing it indoors and then transplanting it out. I just haven't had the time to do that yet. Tulips are looking really, really nice this year. And then the plan is, and I put a couple in, we'll see how they do. A couple of these itty bitty peppers. So we'll grow about 5 to each planter box. So the plan is to put these in, and then as the tulips die back, the peppers will be right there, ready to grow. Normally, in past years, these planter boxes have been all 100% ornamentals in the summer, but since we gave up the other garden, I slated them into something edible, just for more production. And peppers are pretty. I like peppers. They're one of my favorite plants. Then another thing I did today, I had pulled the mulch off of these little areas here to help warm the soil up. So here we've got cassia, which is it's supposed to be a selection. It's a breeding from Costata romanesco, which is one of my favorites, but it's supposed to be more of a bush type. So we planted 2 hills here. This is going to be for the second succession, and then the same thing here, except this is a spineless beauty, which is, as the name implies, a spineless zucchini. And then again here, that's going to be for a second succession. Lettuce is coming up nicely. This here that has a lot of the speckled leaves in it is Encore mix from Johnny's, and then this here is the Freedom Open Gene Pool something. It's from Frank Morton. It's a kind of a wild mix of all sorts of different things. And then I planted 3 more rows of lettuce here. And then this bed will probably be too hot in the summer to plant lettuce. So I've got another bed over by the front door that's going to be for the summer lettuce. I'm not sure what I'll do with this. Maybe it'll get another succession of cucumber or zucchini, or I don't know. Haven't decided. And then we put in first succession of cucumbers. There's another bed over there that'll get the second succession, but that bed over there was a little colder. This is actually some of the finished compost I put in, and funnily enough, as I was planting it, I was noticing some cucurbit seeds that didn't get destroyed in the heat process that were already sprouting. So I'm guessing it's good conditions to plant cucurbits. So we've got Marketmore, a couple of hills of that, and then I'm trying out Diva, which is more of a seedless style, though being not in a greenhouse, even though it's a parthenocarpic variety, I'm guessing it'll still form seeds because it'll get pollinated by all the insects around. A couple nice things of chives there. That's a little clump of garlic chives. It's a related allium species. Then this apple, this is the only one that we actually got any fruit off of. This one flowering really, really nicely. So here's some of the willows that are doing better. None of that black leaf stuff, whatever that is. So we should get at least a couple of these to take. And once once you get a couple to take, you can propagate as many as you want. You just need to make cuttings. Rhubarb, with being low carb, not sure. I might try cooking some and sweetening it with some strawberry or a little bit of sucralose or something like that. I don't know. Well, either that or I'll just give away as much as I can. Some more. So we got some elderberry here. That's another honeyberry. Again, kind of finishing up blooming. So we'll see if they set fruit. We should have ripe fruit early June. I would think, based because they're supposed to be they're supposed to ripen before strawberries. And then over here, I put the potatoes in a while back. I have not yet sprouted anything poking through the mulch. It's been cold, so, and I may have put a little too thick of a layer. I'm not sure. So we'll see how they do. And we got garlic here. It's coming up nicely. Need to do some weeding in it. Just a lot of maple seedlings, some dandelions and stuff growing through the straw. And then we've got some new raspberries. Most of these seem to be taking. Some are growing from the buds, but most are just growing from the crown. That's pretty typical from what I remember. So this is more Joan J, which is a thornless variety that's most of the raspberry patch that you saw in the front. That cherry's blooming for the first year. That's one we planted a couple years ago, and then this one is just covered in blooms. We didn't get much fruit off of it last year because the conditions were bad for pollinators, but with the weather this coming week, I think we're going to get a good fruit set off of it. Now, the birds will probably figure it out. So it is what it is. We had a foliar disease where it had died back, from the tips back, but most of the buds, there's a couple, you might be able to just make it out along the garage there. A couple branches here and there that are dead. If that happens again, I'll do some research. I was just never had the time to research it, and I don't remember exactly what it looked like to research it again this year. So hopefully it does well. We get what we get. I mean, in a lot of ways, I do this more for fun than to get a serious amount of food. Obviously, we do get a serious amount of food, but if we lose stuff, we don't depend on it financially, I guess is a better way of putting it. But that's always cool to see. And then just a couple elderberries. And I think what I'm going to be doing coming up is I want to clean up these walkways to get them, where everything's been creeping in. And then I'm going to start dividing my comfrey crowns and just put a whole bunch of comfrey all along the front here to help hold the soil and get more food. I've been harvesting the comfrey pretty good already, as well as the dandelions. So let me just show you one other thing real quick. So I've also been taking, it's kind of a pain in the butt, but it works pretty well. I've had the time, and it's extra little exercise to cut the grass with hedge clippers, just manual hedge clippers, and then scoop it up with my hands, throw it in a bucket, and feed it to the chickens for some extra food. And then usually the dandelions and the comfrey and any other broadleaf plant, like plantains just coming in. We have a little bit of burdock, which is edible for rabbits. I've been harvesting that, and then what I do to harvest the dandelion, instead of picking each individual leaf, which is a little hard on my carpal tunnel hands, normally it'd be the hand that's holding my camera, take it like a bunch, and then just take my harvest knife and slice it, just like harvesting head lettuce. And that seems to be working out really well, and it's a regrowing Mrs. Prime season for dandelion growth before it dries out. So we've been getting quite a bit of forage off of just our little small property. I've been able to fill up a 5-gallon bucket lightly packed about 4 times a week, which I think is pretty darn good. So it's getting a little long, so I will stop here. We'll do an animal update sometime soon. But the garden has obviously made the biggest transformation, so I just wanted to give an update on that. Thanks.